It tasted like those cigarettes, staring at the moon. We'd go to bed in my arms. You're safe and sound without a threat, and I can't wait to see.
Hello and welcome to episode 30 of the Almost Awesome Esports podcast. Tonight I am your host, Ben, and joining with me, I've only got one co-host tonight, Taran. How are you tonight, Taran?
Not too bad, yourself?
Oh yeah, can't complain. So for those who have not listened to this podcast before, we are a weekly podcast where we talk about esports and other trending news that's revolving around the esports industry, as well as just time to time bits about our favourite games. Tonight's episode was introduced by Futuristic's song Little Bit. A link will be left in the description for that. So with that out of the way, we're only going to be running over the news this week as we're one person down, and he's kind of the flagship for the main topic, which we might leave at another time. So with that out of the way, now over to Taran, who has the latest in the Oceania Esports news.
Thanks, Ben. So next week, the 13th of August, we will see the Chiefs go up against Legacy Esports in the finals of the OPL, after both teams took out 3-0 victories against Dire Wolves and Avant-Garde respectively. Legacy proved to be far too powerful for Avant-Garde, absolutely demolishing them over the map in all three games. Meanwhile, Dire Wolves proved to be much more solid moving into 2017, pushing Chiefs to the limit in both games 2 and 3 after a terrible game 1. One of the biggest talking points for the last few days was the roster swap of Raydere to Dire Wolves and Rays to Chiefs. This was a very controversial swap for both teams, but one that I see benefiting the Chiefs in the long run. By taking a young ADC who's seen by some as the best player in the league at the moment, we may see not only continued success domestically by the Chiefs, but hopefully taking it that one step further and on the world stage and actually going to Worlds this year. At the end of the game, we learnt that Raydere is actually retiring, which is sad to see, but after 5 seasons, quite a good,
You tend to
really
get sick
good
of it,
career.
don't you?
Pardon?
You tend to get sick of it after a while, don't you?
Not sick of it, but he's finished his uni degree and he's going to move on to, actually do something that's not
Definitely,
esports.
but we've seen a lot of people, they played on the pro circuit as a living, but just after a while, it tends to take the fun out of it and they just prefer to go back to a more casual play style.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons he said he actually changed to Dire Wolves. He said in one of his tweets or something somewhere, I can't remember where I read it, but he was saying that, there was no fun in it anymore, and moving to Dire Wolves changed that up a little bit and made it much more fun, even though he was only there really for a week. But yeah, he's kind of, finished his degree, and 5 years is sort of, for league players, that's quite a good career. Speaking of legacy, the organisation has moved into Smite, picking up the roster of Dead Weight, the top team heading into the OPL final series. And finally, the online component of the Cybergamer Oceania Esports Masters, try saying that 3 times, has wrapped up with Atletico BH, Parallax, ASDF, and Avant-Garde moving into the finals in late August. And now we move over to Ben to bring us some Rocket League news.
Awesome. So, due to technical issues, I've been out for the last few weeks and I haven't been able to update you, but coming this Saturday is the first ever LAN party for the Rocket League World Championship Series. It starts this Saturday with the grand total of $55,000. So for a first-time tournament, that's actually not too bad. The final teams that made it in was Exodius, Mocket EU, the Flying Dutchman, Kings of Urban, iBuyPower, Cosmic, Fliptide, Tactics, and Northern Gaming, which was formerly Weedham Girls, and Genesis. Kind of in that order, we are seeing the slug match start off on the Saturday, which is Northern Gaming versus Genesis, Exodius versus Mocket EU, the Flying Dutchman versus Kings of Urban, and iBuyPower, Cosmic versus Flipside Tactics. It was very surprising to see how the seeding went because iBuyPower Cosmic, which is the favoured team to win, followed by Flipside Tactic, it's kind of tie and tie. They only came out with about 1,600 points, which is actually fairly low considering the top team, which was Flipside Tactics, came out with 2,200. We were a bit afraid, but for such a powerhouse team to come out with so little points, it was a little bit shocking. But I suppose that just shows what type of confidence they have. They allow a small slip up because they know that they're going to get in the top seeding anyway, regardless of what placing's happening. So until we see how Saturday rolls out, we actually don't know how the seeding's going to proceed for Sunday, which will be leading up to the grand final. So with that out of the way, that's all the Rocket League news we have this week. Tyron, how do we go for international news on League of Legends?
Not too bad. So NA and EU are actually headed into the finals after a really crazy week, which saw after the accidental lock of Teemo twice in Korea and once in, I think it was Turkey. We saw TSM take out Immortals for the top spot. Haunter actually locking in Teemo intentionally after Reginald put up a tweet on Twitter which said 20,000 retweets and we'll see Teemo tomorrow.
Which end up with 25,000 retweets?
Something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's crazy. And then, here we go. Teemo top lane. I mean, in a comp game, how often do you see that?
Almost never. I think the last time we saw it actually played intentionally, not counting the couple of times it was played in Korea a couple of weeks ago through the accidental mistake, was actually Reginald himself back in Season 2 Worlds. So...
And that's Season 2. We're on Season 6 now.
Yeah. So quite a while since we've seen the little devil. Sadly, TSM actually lost that game. Teemo was no help at all, but what a surprise.
Surprise there.
But TSM actually went on to defeat Energy in the series 2-1, sorry. So moving into the finals, we will see Cloud9 take on Envy, with CLG taking on Liquid. Immortals and TSM both have buys straight into the semis. Me personally, I see Cloud9 taking their game against Envy 3-0. Envy have had really bad last few weeks. And I see Liquid piping out CLG 3-2. CLG's been on the rise, but Liquid's just been that little bit more consistent, I think, the last few weeks. Ben, you got any changes to that?
Not quite.
No, you agree with me there?
Yeah, I think that's actually a pretty solid standing as how it is at the moment. I've yet to see anything that's going to tilt that overly too much.
Fair enough. And with playoffs from the top 6, we also have the relegations. In round 1, we'll see Echo Fox take on Team Liquid Academy, with the winner moving on to face Phoenix 1. Meanwhile, NRG will face Cloud9 Challenger. Over in EU, we'll see the Giants take on Unicorns of Love and H2K face Fnatic in the quarterfinals. Although Giants have had a really good season, I see Unicorns of Love taking out the series. I think the experience in the final scene is just going to be a little bit too much for the Giants, and I see them falling at this final hurdle.
And it's not the first time we've ever seen Unicorns of Love actually come back.
No, Unicorns of Love are actually they thrive on being the underdogs. Remember over in, I think it was IAM, when they were underdogs and they came out and absolutely obliterated TSM?
Yeah, that's the one.
Twisted Fate Jungle for the win. Meanwhile, in the second game, I see Fnatic having the upper hand. Again, the experience and the individual skill of all the players, as well as they've been playing together a lot more than H2K, with Forgiven coming into the team less than a week ago. I really think that Fnatic will be that team to just pip them just. Same as the Liquid CLG game. I see it going to 5 games, but Fnatic just coming out on top. In the European Promotion Tournament, we'll see Rocat facing Millennium, with the winner to face Shulk. Meanwhile, Origin will take on Misfits, formerly Renegades Banditos. I'll be back in a bit to wrap up the rest of the league news from the LCK, the LMS, and the LPL, but for now it's over to Ben for some Counter-Strike.
Since our residential Counter-Strike player has actually gone AFK for this week, I'm just going to read out just a few dot points that he's left us. So we have Virtus.pro taking out the E-League Season 1 after defeating Fnatic for the finals, going a 2-0 score, which was 16-10 on Cobblestone, 16-8 on Mirage. And also we have Luminosity, which have signed themselves to win out one of Brazil's rising squads. So that's pretty interesting movements that we have there.
It's definitely an interesting pickup, sticking with the Brazilian theme and picking up one of the Brazilian lower teams, rather than picking up a team like Renegades, which was highly expected. Of course, Renegades, after all the issues they've had in League, sort of with the League team being kicked out of the LCS and Renegades Banditos having to change their name and whatnot, there's quite a few issues in being able to actually sign sponsors for the organization. So from what I've heard, they've been looking for a new organization for a while. Luminosity were planning to pick them up and then didn't. They decided to stick with the Brazilian teams. So it'll be interesting to see how they come up in the next few months.
So yeah, fingers crossed they don't actually have any issues that we've seen in the past few months with the whole visa thing, and especially with someone coming and potentially signing on Australian players. The last thing we want to see is the whole visa thing just relapse again. So with that Counter-Strike little segment out of the way, let's move over to the rest of the League of Legends news for the LMS, the LCK, and China. So how are we going over there, Tyron?
So Korea moves into the final week of the regular seasons, and it seems like the top 5 are pretty much locked in, with Rox Tigers, SKT, Samsung, KT Rolsters, and a Freak of Freaks likely to move into the finals. Over in China, an EDG is still unbeaten with 14 series wins. Unless Invictus can give them their first defeat of the season, it seems like Group A will see EDG, Snake, Game Talents, and New B moving into the finals. Meanwhile, Group B is a lot closer, with RNG, Team World Elite, and IMA moving into the finals, with Vici most likely to move into the finals with them over LGD, even though they've had a late game surge. Their hopes are still alive, but very unlikely at this point. Finally in the LMS, and Hong Kong Esports has pulled away from the middle of the pack, moving to 18 points, sitting just behind AHQ, Flash Wolves, and J-Team still at the top. So, that's all the news done for this week. Let's move into the 1 minute quickie. Ben, you got a question for us?
This week, I want to really know, so seeing as we had Group A and B in the China, if you could swatch 2 teams, which would it be from A to B or B to A?
In China?
In China.
Honestly, my first choice would be to move RNG over to Group A, because then we would have a much closer... First of all, you'd see EDG go up against RNG a lot more. I think they have 2 games against each team in their bracket and 1 against teams out in the other group. So we'd see 2 series between the 2. I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I can't actually agree any more on that. That was pretty much my pick for it. Seeing EDG just go 14 series wins, it's crazy. We need something to upset it, and at the moment, the whole roster that we've got going, it's just not happening. I mean, EDG just going through and just destroying it in either like 3-0 or 3-2 sets.
Yeah, we all expected EDG to be the top team in China, but I think the only team that can really challenge them in terms of skill is RNG.
Royal Never Give Up actually almost went with a straight victory through that, didn't they?
I think RNG made it to the finals, and I can't remember if it was EDG or RNG that got the automatic qualification into the finals because Xiaogu Reapers forfeited in the semi-finals. But yeah, RNG exactly. Were definitely one of the best teams in the league last season, and they've kept that up this season, moving into the final series. I honestly see EDG and RNG being the finals, hoping that goes to 5 games, because, God, they're great games. But
oh, definitely. I mean, it's a big slug match between the 2 teams. It's just a shame that we've chucked them into 2 different splits, because they're both dominating in each of the groups. But, I mean, it's not too much of a clash between them and the fellow teams that's actually in that group.
Exactly. The only other team I think that might be able to take EDG out is Team World Elite. And that's because World Elite is one of these teams where they always play for late game. They play very methodically, and even if they have the complete upper hand against a team like Saint Gaming, they still play very slow, very methodically. They go down each lane, they take all the towers, they take all the inhibs. They always make sure a lot of their games are really, really long. And yeah, I see them potentially taking out EDG. Although I do see EDG taking out the LPL, moving to Worlds, with RNG probably being the 2nd seed, and yeah, World Elite being seed 3, running through the gauntlet.
I mean,
so
really how I see it rolling out is RNG is going to play for the late game, where EDG is going to try and push them over as quick as they can. So it's really a battle of whether it's going to pull out into late game or not.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, so Tyron, what's your question this week?
My question is going to be a little bit different this week. So I'm going to give you a list of, say, 10 teams, and I want you to tell me how each one of them is going to go if they get to... So what I want you to do is tell me, will they make it to the League Worlds? And how they're going to go at Worlds.
Alright, so just give me a name. I'm going to say yes or no.
So give me yes or no, they'll make it to Worlds. And if they're going to make it to Worlds, how far they're going to make it. Are they going to make it past groups? Are they going to make it to the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, the finals? Or are they going to be out in groups? Okay?
Yep.
So my first team for you is a pretty obvious one. We've got Fnatic.
Fnatic, they're definitely going to make it to the finals.
Ooh, tough call. I disagree with you there completely.
Tough call. Well, I mean, semi-finals, I dare see them, but I reckon they can pull through this year. They've had a pretty solid run, actually. I don't see many upsets that's been happening lately following them.
I think it really depends on how they go in the LCS finals. If they can get a first seed, I see them making it to definitely the quarterfinals, maybe the semi-finals, but yeah, I'm not sure about the finals.
You're not sure about the finals?
Definitely not.
I mean, they have previously taken out a Worlds.
That was Season 1.
That's
So,
still one more than a lot of teams.
I guess. We'll have to see. Next team for you here, SKT.
Oh, definitely. I see them pulling through the grand final, as they generally do. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't make it past the semi-finals, just because of the simple fact they've been playing pretty poorly this year for what they generally have been playing previous seasons. So if an upset was to happen, it doesn't really surprise me at all.
I see SKT definitely winning the tournament. They had a really good early split, spring split, and then coming into summer
their early split was so rubbish. They missed.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't they miss a game or two?
No, they pretty much won all their games last split, and then this split they've lost 3 series, I believe, and that was a mid-game slump where they lost 2 games to. They lost couple of series to really low-tier teams. So,
yeah, but I'm meaning first, the start of the season.
Yeah, no, they had a perfect start to the split.
Are you sure?
They won quite a few games.
All right.
They had a mid-season
I
slump.
Thinking of something else.
They had a mid-season slump, and then they came back and
I'm thinking of.
yeah, I see SKT definitely winning the tournament.
But they did slack off a little. I did notice.
Yeah, they had a mid-season slump, but I think that was just because they sort of were mucking around a little bit, trying a few new things, and then they finally come back.
Serious, they are definitely a contender for taking out the tournament once again.
Yeah, I see SKT winning again. My next team for you, I'm going to say J Team.
It's a very uncommon name.
From the LMS. They're the top team in the LMS at the moment.
They are, but yet again, how many teams do we see from the LMS come through the Worlds?
Last year we saw Flash Wolves make the quarterfinals, I believe.
Yep, that's correct.
So I definitely see them making at least the quarterfinals, and then potentially going on to the semis, depending on their bracket and who they get in the quarters.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it sums out. I mean, there's a lot of these teams which I can say might go to semis, might go quarters, might go to finals, but yet again, we've yet to see the seeding and how it plays.
It all depends on the brackets, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's a big contender for it.
And my final one here for you, the winner of the OPL, so whether it be Chiefs or Legacy. Will they win?
Ooh.
Will they win? Will they win, or will they come second at the International Wildcard Qualifiers? And if they do make it to Worlds, how far will they go?
Oh, okay. That's a lot to process there.
So
it's definitely going to be a massive slug match. And by the way, we are definitely going to see that in person next week. I want to say Chiefs are going to take it out, but at the same time, with this whole switch, I'm very, very confused because I mean they just switched ADC between the two teams, didn't they?
No, that was this week. They swapped ADC with Direwolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've just switched the ADCs. Whether the synergy is going to be on top come in a week time. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've got 7 days. That's plenty of time to throw out a few hundred matches. But yeah, I really want to say Chief win, but at the same time, I'm kind of bracing myself for a second place. As for going through the Worlds, I mean, they've done it once, they've done it twice, if I recall correctly.
No, they've never made Worlds.
Oh, not Worlds, sorry. going to internationals.
They've gone to international wildcard, the IWCQ twice, and they've lost both times.
But they came pretty close. I mean,
Yeah.
they seeded 4th last year, didn't they?
Yeah, we should have won. Oh, we should have made it to the finals last year. We beat Bangkok
right,
Titans twice throughout the initial stage of the tournament, and then when push came to shove, we lost in a game that was
we broke
reset.
under pressure. That's right. That's right.
Raydere
It's coming
choked.
back to me now.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, third time the charm, right? Seeing them going into Worlds, I really doubt they're going to make it past group stages because, I mean, if they can't get past the wild cards, and if they do barely graze past the wild cards, they're going to get thrown into a whole new league once again.
Okay.
As we've talked about previously, Oceanic competitive is not on par with the international scene yet.
No.
Chiefs are definitely pushing the boundary for Oceanic, and once they break through, it's going to be a whole different game once again for them. Whether they're going to be prepared for it, I can't say they will be, but it's definitely a good learning curve, and we will probably improve for next season.
Yeah, see, I want to go the opposite here. I'm going to call Legacy to win the series in 5 games. They have much, much more synergy. Their team's been together, including the ADC, the whole team's been together longer.
That's right. So yeah, like I was saying, I am preparing myself for a Chiefs second place.
Yeah.
But if they were to go through, I mean, they've been to the wild cards before. They know what they're up against. They know what to expect. They might come with their heads a bit more screwed on this year. Dwyer Wolves, have they been to a wild cards before?
Legacy.
Oh, sorry. Has Legacy been... sorry. But for Legacy Esports, have they even been to a
Yes.
wild cards before?
Yes, once.
Once.
They went
And, I mean, that
2
was,
years ago.
Season... Yeah, that was season 3? 4?
3 or 4, I can't remember off the top of my head. But
One of them.
yeah, I see.
A lot has definitely changed since then, though.
Yeah, I mean, I see Legacy taking out the OPL in 5 games. I see them going to wildcard tournament, and I see them placing second. Not sure how they're going to go against the likes of Brazil. So I see them coming second, which gives them second seed going into Worlds. And then I see them falling in group stage, maybe taking a game off one of the lower tier teams in their group. But yeah, I don't see them going past that. Anyway, that wraps up my extended question. You want to wrap things up?
Awesome. Yeah, so we, as mentioned previously, we won't have a main topic for this week, sadly. As for interviews, we have some planned in the upcoming episodes, but nothing to provide just yet. So I'm going to have to wrap up this episode for now. So yes, that definitely does wrap up another episode of the Almost Awesome Esports podcast. Next week, we will be covering the action from the OPL Finals live from Brisbane. We hope to see some of our fans there, definitely. As for that, where can we find us, Tyron?
So you can keep up to date with all of us on Twitter. Simon's at @AE_Simon. You are at @AE_Ben. And I am at @AE_Taran. You can also find us at our website, which now has a proper name, almostawesomeesports.com. Back to you.
Awesome. So sadly, yes, one down tonight, but next week we'll be full-fledged at the OPL. We can't wait to get in there and make some content. There is a potential for video content, so you'll be able to see us in person, get to know us, put a name to a face, really. And yeah, definitely can't wait to see any of our fans there at all. And just make sure, as always, stay awesome.
Our lips, they tasted like those cigarettes. Staring at the moon, we'd go to bed. In my arms, you're safe and sound, without a threat. And I can't wait to see what happens next. How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? We're still a little bit young, but I'm all in. We're Our lips, they tasted like those cigarettes. Staring at the moon, we'd go to bed. In my arms, you're safe and sound, without a threat. And I can't wait to see what happens next. How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? How far can we get if we sail a little bit high, a little bit low? We're still a little bit young, but I'm all in.